Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Math Guy. Today we'll be looking at markups and markdowns. Our first problem reads, find the percentage of change of the initial production cost if it was $27.54 and it changed to $36.32. For this problem we're figuring out what percentage of this first number, or what the item was costing, what percentage of that was used to increase to our second number. Okay. This is a formula that's actually used in science a lot. It's used in business. It's used in engineering. It talks about how one thing changes into another. This formula is very generic. It's the same one that's used in every other. There's a couple examples I used. We have the formula new minus original divided by the original. If we do all this, we end up with a decimal, so we want to multiply it by 100, which will give us percent of change. In this case, we're looking at how 27.54 changes into 36.32. So 27.54 will be the original, and 36.32 will be the new. So we go through and plug those two values into our formula. We have 36.32 minus 27.54 divided by 27.54, all multiplied by 100, which gives us the percent of change. First thing we have to go through and do is the subtraction. So we do 36.32 minus 27.54, we get 8.78. This is divided by 27.54, which is multiplied by 100. When we do this 8.78 divided by 27.54, we get 0.319. We multiply this by 100, and we get 31.9%, which happens to be our percent of change. So we found what we wanted. We take 31.9% of 27.54 and added that to 27.54, we would end up with 36.32. Our next problem today reads, it costs 32 cents to make a can of Spam. The store is hoping to make a 420% profit on each can. If you were to go into the store with $24.35, how many cans of Spam can you buy? Now before we do this problem, just a little disclaimer, I do not know the actual cost that it takes to make a can of Spam. I'm just using this as an example. It probably costs more than that to do it. Like I said, it's an example problem. To do this problem, we have to go through and work a little bit differently than the last problem. We want to go through and find the selling price. That's the first thing we have to do, is find the selling price. To find the selling price, we take the cost, we multiply this by the rate of markup. That's how much the company wants to make in profit. And then with that, we add the cost to it. Okay? So we want to go through and we take care of this. So we start filling in what we need to find. 420% profit on each can. That's the rate of markup. So we have 420%, which since it's percent, we can turn this into a decimal quite easily. So if we erase the percent sign, 420% is 4.20. From here we have to find the cost. Well, it tells us it takes 32 cents. That's the cost. So it's 0.32. So we have 0.32 times 4.20. That whole quantity, we add 0.32 to that. Now we have a formula. We have something we have to solve. So we take 0.32 times 4.20. This gives us 1.34. We add 0.32 to that, which gives us our selling price, which happens to be $1.66. That's part of the problem. The other thing with this whole example problem, it tells us you go to the store with $24.35, how many cans of Spam can we buy? We know it costs $1.66 to buy it. We have $24.35. How many can we get? To find this, we take the amount of money we have, $24.35, and we divide it by $1.66. When we do this division, we actually get an answer of 14.67 cans. Now, I don't know about where you shop, but I know with where I shop, I can't buy 0.67 of a can. It's either one whole can or no cans. So we can chop this 0.67 off. We can only buy 14 cans. We can't buy more than that because we don't have enough money. We could buy less than that, but the most we can buy is 14 cans. Our next problem reads, the selling price of a cell phone is not known. We want to find that. The cost is $29.30 and the markup rate is 30% of the selling price. Determine the selling price. Well, we found the selling price in the last problem. We took the cost, we multiplied it by the rate of markup, and then we took that answer and we added the cost to it. This gave us the selling price. Well, this works, but there's a shortcut. So we can just get rid of all that. Right? What we can do, we know in this problem, there's a rate of markup of 30%. That markup is added to the cost. Well, when we add that to the cost, we're actually adding it to 100%. This is the cost. So we have 30% and 100%. That's 130% of the cost. So we take 130% of, usually means multiply, the cost, which the cost is $29.30. We have a different problem. It's actually a little bit simpler to go through and solve. Not as many steps. 130%, use a different color and rewrite it up here. 130% is 1.30 multiplied by $29.30. We do this multiplication and we get an answer of $38.09. Okay? This type of a problem, using the same type of a process that we used right here, is actually the way you can go through and calculate sales tax quite easily. If we had this same cell phone, we were going to buy it for $38.09, you might have 6% sales tax on it yet. So we have to multiply this by 100% plus the 6% sales tax, which is $38.09 times 106%. Okay? That's how you can calculate sales tax. Or, if you're buying this phone for $38.09 and for some reason this company has a 25% off coupon when you buy it, we can multiply this by 100%. Should have parentheses there. 100% minus 25% off. Well, we do that 100% minus 25% off, it's 75%. This is multiplied by 38.09. That'll tell us how much it's going to be with our discount. Our last problem today reads, Sony realized that they must sell their new hardware. They also realized that the average consumer will not purchase it for more than $320. If the most they can lose on manufacturing this new item is $30, what is the maximum cost that they can produce this item for? For this problem, the formula is going to be a little different than what we saw before, but it's still going to be very, very, very similar. For this, they're taking a 30% loss. Okay, so that means they're taking 30% off. The item's going to be 100%. This is going to be our $320. So when we take 100% and we subtract our 30%, this gives us 70%. What we want to do with this 70% though is because we want to find out what the manufacturing cost is, okay, what is the maximum cost they can produce this item for. We know the selling price. They're not just paying more than $320 for it. We take the $320 and we divide that by 70%. Okay? When we want to find the cost, we divide. the selling price by the percentage. We want to find the selling price, we take the cost and multiply it by a percentage. So don't get that confused. In this case, like I said, we want to divide. So we take $320 divided by 70. We can rewrite this as 320 divided by 0.70. This gives us $457.14. If Sony manufactures their piece of hardware for $457.14 and then turns around and sells it for $320, they will be losing 30%. Okay? This is often done with electronics. For a lot of your big electronic devices, video game systems, Blu-ray players, when they first come out, the companies are saying, oh, well, the consumer's only going to pay this much for it, but it costs this much. We're going to take a hit. But we're going to get their money when they have to buy those movies for it, or when they buy their games for it, or they buy the CDs with the music on it. So in the end, we're going to make profit because they have to have this to buy this. Thank you for tuning into the Math Guy. Remember to check back soon for more videos by me.